During the last century, people dreamed about conquer the universe expanses and escape from the shell of our planet. In October 2018 it will be exactly 50 years since the first man landed on the moon. But from a practical point of view, there are many technical obstacles to inhabit the space. It could be disputed for a limited amount of time how financially unjustifiable it is to send people into space, and then provide them without stopping with all necessary supplies. This is one of the reasons why in the movie series Blade Runner humanoid robots are used instead of people on remote planets and stations. Actually, androids need only be charged and periodically repaired. At the same time, many celebrities, especially Elon Musk, from time to time say that we are threatened as a species if we don't find new areas to live. Even if we leave out the impossibility for a spaceship to overcome the light speed or even to move at a speed close to it, both because of the lack of such engines and the lack of materials strong enough for this mission. Besides overloading the components of the ship, it will lead to death of biological passengers. If they somehow survive, they collide with cosmic dust particles at light speed. If you want to see the result, look at the collisions at the Large Hadron Collider and remember that they are only colliding individual protons there. Ability to create black holes or go through them on the other side of the white hole can be called pure fantasy, although in theory it would be possible to transmit information, but not a large object. Something similar is now observed in the field of quantum entanglement. Scientists have already learned how to connect photons together, so that changes in one lead to a change in another entangled photon at any distance. The problem is that to begin with, you need to keep them in one place, make some interaction between them and then disconnect one from another, and at this stage the troubles begin, because there is a chance to lose the sent copy. And with the distance, the chances increase. Within the framework of one state, it's easy to create an encrypted communication system, but it's difficult enough to communicate with the colony on Mars or beyond. Let's say we start populating the Moon or Mars. Flight to the Moon demands 3 days. To Mars, at the nearest point, 6 months. The furthest, 2 years. It's not such a distance to think about anabiosis or childbirth in space, which can lead to serious deviations. The main problem in presence outside the Earth is the absence of normal gravity. Although the movies show artificial gravity, in fact, it's just an artistic technique to save the budget and show the future excellence for the viewer. In reality, on other planets, people will also be almost in weightlessness for years. Even the notorious psychos won't choose to suffer this way, or at least only for a short period of time, because the lack of gravity leads to problems with blood vessels, rapid reduction of bone tissue, and muscle atrophy. For clarity, gravity on the Moon is 6 times less than the Earth's one. On Mars, almost 3 times less. The lack of sufficient magnetic field, atmosphere, constant radiation in the light of the above factors, and the lack of resources really needed at the moment. Helium-3 is still used only in science fiction, and also the fact that there is lunar dust on the Moon, which disables the technique and is dangerous to humans. For example, by inhalation or ingestion of the mucous membrane, all this makes one think about the human journey expediency to such places. Since medicine will be in hundreds of thousands of kilometers in the case of the Moon, or hundreds of millions of kilometers in the case of Mars, the chances of colonists or scientists are rather small. As for Mars, its soil is generally unsuitable for growing anything, so the hero of the Martian was supposed to die. Well, let's say we will refuse to land on the nearest planets. We will not survive in orbit too, because without the Earth it will become unviable. Then it remains to fly to exoplanets, our new lighthouse. Technically, exoplanets are called all planets outside the solar system, but at least the media mean by them mostly other inhabited planets. Even there would be no aliens with fireworks for us, it's still a nice backup plan to survive in the case of a catastrophe on Earth. Here, in addition to the problems listed above, one should remember about genetic diversity. There are various assumptions, but most believe that the survival of the species requires from 2,000 to 10,000 unrelated individuals. Historians believe that mankind has passed several times through the so-called population bottleneck, when the population size is sharply reduced and then recovered from the survivors. The genetic diversity declines. Nevertheless, the most famous example is cheetahs, since they might restore their numbers from only one pair. Of course, inbreeding is not so terrible as it's described, but in any case, a significant part of children will be born with pathologies, which sharply raises the cost of cultivating full-fledged descendants for the species continuation. As a result, there isn't even a single reliable way to deliver a person alive to a relatively large distance in space, so you having to fantasize about terraforming other planets, which by reference to energy cost is like trying to drink a sea. Beautiful dreams, words, all this an empty sound for a harsh reality that will destroy all who forgot to consider all the variables. For human beings there is no place in space. You can discuss whether you can transfer your consciousness to a robot and send it to space, but this is more a philosophical question. Will your consciousness after the transfer be identical to the original one? Hence, we can only entrench on our single planet and take care of its safety at any cost, because probably there would be no other planet. Let's entrust the space exploration to robots. They only need to be charged on time. If you appreciate this video and want more, you should subscribe.